Alright everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So as you may or may not have noticed, the camera angle and stuff has shifted a little bit in this video. That's because I decided to upgrade my office setup a little bit this last week or so. So everything just got here just in time for the weekend. So I spent all of yesterday kind of assembling my new table, my monitor, computer arms, everything like that. So because of that, I've had to kind of change my camera setup a little bit and adjust the angles and things like that. So if you're wondering what's with the new setup and everything, that's why. So if you have any feedback regarding this, if you feel like, I need to adjust the angles or change it or anything like that, please do let me know. That way I can kind of like mess around with it, see if I can change things around. But apart from that, I am really happy with my new setup. I really like my new table, my computer arms and everything else. It feels like it makes this a lot easier for me to work with. So yeah, really enjoying that. Apart from that, we will get around to Shonen Jump stuff as per normal today. So we'll get around to the latest chapters of Kaiju, Akane-Banashi, as well as New Spy Family. I've also got a mini One Piece rant video coming out today because that's just how mad this last chapter has made me. So it's been, I think, at least a year since I've done one of those videos. So this should be an interesting experience. Look forward to that. Apart from that, as always, please do continue to speak up and be vocal about what's happening in Palestine right now with the genocide. Please continue calling your representatives, your elected representatives if you're in the U.S. Call, email, fax them, whatever you have to do. If you can sign, I know there's been petitions going around calling for a ceasefire. If you can sign those, please do add your voice to that as well. Because we have to bear witness to what's going on. We cannot let the Palestinians, what's happening to them, go unmarked or unseen. So please do continue to support them. I'll link, I'll link kind of like the various things you can do to kind of support them in this time right now on the description below. But please continue to make your voice heard. But apart from that, as always, if you do like my videos, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really does mean a lot to me, especially now with everything else that's going on. So if you'd like to show me your support for the content I create, it really would be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let us get into it with Akane-Banashi, Chapter 86. As we have... Yeah, it's actually really nice. You see, they did a fall color spread where everyone's doing a little picnic outside, roasting some meat and everything. Really beautiful, really gorgeous, love it. You have Story 86, New Breeze, story by Yuki Tsunaga, art by Takuma Samoe, translation by Stephen Paul, lettering by Asnir Aron, and Rakugo supervision by Keiki Haishiya. So we pick up where we left off with we now present to you 4 young performers from the next generation of the Arakawa School, the Arakawa New Breeze. Excuse me. And you have, it's a packed house, and over 2,000 online streaming passes were bought too. It's like the level of media scrutiny. This is what Master Iken can do as a producer. For a Futatsume event, this is success on a scale that's never been seen before. And the star of the show, and you see Arakawa New Breeze, is Hikaru, then Yuzen with an intermission, followed by Koguma and then Kaisei. And you have a scene that's Yuzen going, "Is for you for some reason. Why not me? This makes no sense. It's a career skill. Any way you cut it, I'm obviously the closer. This should be a show by, of, and about me." And you see that's Yuzen Arakawa. And you see Kaisei going, "If you're unhappy with it, show me up with your Rakugo. Isn't that the Arakawa way?" And you can see him just like looking down at him condescendingly. He's like, "You're real cocky, huh? Show some respect." And Hikaru's like, "They ain't intimidated by the big stage. They're setting off sparks. That's more like it. Feels like a real competition." It's like, except for one guy. And you see Koguma just like in the background, like nervously just sitting down, rifling through a book on Japanese construction. And you have Koguma Arakawa. He's Akane's Andedeshi senior, I think. And you have Yuzen going, "Same goes for you with the pretty face. I appreciate all the eyes you've brought to this thing, but if you try to show me up, you'll get no mercy." And you see him just looking down at Koguma, and he just smirks and goes, "Heh, just the opposite, I bet." It's like, hey, let's leave it all out there on stage. That way it should be clear to everyone who the real star of this show is. And he's using getting like raucous laughter and applause for his performance. As you have, he's piling on the jokes, grabbing every laugh he possibly can. He adds lots of wrinkles and gets the most out of each bit. He's an upward compatible version of Kaichi. And Hikaru's like, I went on first as the opener, and he's blowing me out of the water. And Koguma interrupts her thought with, you're more spirited than I thought you were. And you have, and you're so cold, Ani-san. That Ani-san with the dreads mocked you, but you had no reaction. Doesn't it irritate you? It's like, no, you can't let that stuff affect your emotions. Anger doesn't translate to power. I disagree. It's like, you're so mature. It's like, not necessarily. This just isn't the place where I fight back. And he's like, yeah, I crushed it. What's up? And you see the senior guy. God, what the hell is the leader of the school? Is it Zensho Arakawa? The guy with the big afro. He's like, why doesn't my apprentice turn out like Kaisei? Why can't he be more like him? He's like, neg. It's like, no more being compared to Kaisei all the time. Now I've made it clear that the star of the show is... You see Kaisei as he's, or no, Koguma as he's heading out going, thanks for your hard work. We're done with you here. He's like, huh? He's like, also, believe it or not. And he has Koguma just kind of flipping his little fan as he's walking out. I'm the type to hold a grudge. And you see him stepping out with his hair slicked back with his pretty boy mode. And he's like, I've heard the stories about him. Is that really the same gloomy guy? And Hikaru's like, his expressions, emoting, atmosphere, everything is completely different. So there are many kinds of interests, hobbies, and tastes out there. But one goes overboard, the consequences can be disastrous. You have, yo, young master, it's me, Kuma. I heard from the old master, he said you've had a touch of the melancholy. When that happens, it's best to get everything off your chest. Ain't we known each other since we were kids? Will you tell me what's wrong? It's like, well, I suppose if I were to tell anyone about it. It's like, you tell me? It's like, I wouldn't. It's like, why not? Come on, man. And Hikaru's like, a split personality? I've never seen someone whose two extremes are so extreme. But what story is this? I listened to a lot of different Rakugo stories for study purposes, and this ain't like any of them. So maybe I didn't study enough. And you hear, hey, Kaisei, what is this story? It ain't a new one, right? And Kaisei's like, I have no idea. And Hikaru's kind of like shocked that neither of them know it. And you see in the reserved seatings, you have a comedian bro whose name was... Try to give me a second, see if I can pull this up really quick. Gakumon. Going, I don't understand it either. I mean, I recognize the story, I just can't fathom how he's learned it. Could it be? Anakin's like, that's precisely it. Rakugo is an art that is handed down. The oldest Rakugo stories have been passed down from the days of the Edo period. The classic stories that are still performed in the modern day number around 200 in total. But look to written sources and you'll find over 800. Over the long passage of time, many stories have lost the Rakugoka to tell them and vanished from the stage. But they can be dug up. This method involves finding old records of Rakugo stories and bringing them back to life. And Koguma Arakawa is particularly adept at digging up these lost stories. An unparalleled teller of the classics. And Hikaru's like, I thought it was fishy. No way Akane's Anideshi would be such a cold and uncaring guy. He's using this big stage to challenge us with a story even other Rakugoka don't know. Yuzen's like, guy made it seem like he doesn't care about anything, but now he's going for the jugular. And you see Kaisei with like this evil grin on his face. As Koguma is like, he wants to be the star! Ah, man, alright. So I guess quick thoughts on this chapter. So I love Yuzen being kind of like the brash personality who's kind of like picking on everyone else. So you can see he's got a huge chip on his shoulder because he keeps getting compared to Kaisei, even though, he outranks him seniority-wise. So, yeah, it's again interesting kind of seeing like the different personalities and everything kind of clash in Rakugo. And I like that Hikaru, even after, having beaten out Akane in the competition, is still kind of like unsure about her skills and her place in this. performance against her seniors. We're just kind of like nervous about like, you know, whether she can match up to them. So again, like I want to see like more of her development, like more of her growth with regards to this. But again, like I really like seeing like all these different characters being played off of each other, like seeing the different interactions between them when you throw different groups together. So I really like those aspects of it. Apart from that, I think the one thing I would disagree with Koguma's thing is like anger doesn't translate to power. I would add just anger necessarily doesn't translate to power, but I don't think I fully agree with this. Like anger doesn't translate to power. But I do like how, you know, it's kind of like, you know, kind of meek demeanor, just all up front, you know, where it's kind of just like, you know, there's no point redirecting my energy to these pointless conflicts. I'll just rather go out there onto the stage and kind of prove my worth that way. You know, kind of rather doing like the immature thing that Yuzen's doing, like trying to start a fight, pick a fight with everyone else. Apart from that, again, I do love how we're getting kind of like an expanded kind of like understanding of like what Rakugo is, you know, how stories are picked, chosen, like how they're passed on, things like that, as we're getting like more of the history of it. But yeah, because again, the idea that, you know, there'd be stories, because again, I think it kind of points out the obvious thing, was like, okay, you know, Rakugo is obviously a very oral art and oral performance, and we've seen up to now, you know, how like the stories you learn are dictated by, you know, the masters you go to, what their expertise is, you know, stuff like that, and like they teach you the story and you learn from them, like, you know, what different stories you can perform, stuff like that. So I love how this kind of expands and challenges your assumptions regarding that, by being like, you know, yes, you know, there's one way that you can learn stories by, you know, going to a master, learning the story from them orally, but there are also, you know, stories that have been written down and collected, and you could also go through those and also kind of like try to incorporate those into your repertoire. And I feel like the reason, you know, a lot of Rakugoka wouldn't do that, because I feel like, yeah, you know, you could go to a written source and kind of learn a story from that, but I feel like that wouldn't necessarily always translate into success, because writing a story isn't the same as like listening to an oral performance of it. So I feel like it would be a lot harder to kind of pick up on like the annotations and the nuances of a story that's written down versus one that's kind of like orally passed down. So I feel like that's kind of how, you know, why it's kind of be like, oh, you know, why more Rakugoka probably don't go like finding like written down stories to try and perform. But yeah, I like how the Koguma's kind of like found his niche within that, being like, you know, other people might not do it. This is going to be like the way I kind of like let myself stand out. So I thought that was a really, really cool little kind of detail or hiccup to introduce into a series like this, because it really does expand the possibilities of what's possible, like what's available now, like how the characters can kind of learn and grow. So I really do appreciate like expanding on it in that way. But yeah, apart from that, I'm looking forward to this, because obviously Koguma's going to give a banger performance, and he's absolutely going to be cut down by Kaise, who shows off, you know, just how vicious and ferocious he is. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen with his performance. That evil grin, because like, you know, he's setting up for something with that evil grin. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. So, as always, if you like this content, you know, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, I'll get the other Shonen Jump videos out today as well. If you haven't already, please do watch my last channel update video. And until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you all later.